This is a versatile loaf. I have done it before, but I think when I previously did it on here, it was with store-bought flour. I'm going to do it today with Freshmilled flour. It is a little bit different, and this one has a higher hydration. So as before, if you haven't watched my other video, this can just be regular, we use 300 grams of active sourdough starter. I fed this out on my counter today. If you've seen my other feed video, I could have just had this in the fridge, brought it right out and used it, which is what I would typically have done. But today, for whatever reason, I wanted to go ahead and use it. So I add my sourdough starter, and then I'm gonna add about 800 grams of water. And if it's still dry later, I'll just spray water on it and stir it in. But this is a high hydration because Freshmilled uses more water. Okay. Let's see. I think this is gonna be actually perfect. Should have measured it before. Okay, so 800, if you wanna see it. Basically, I'm just going to take the water and the sourdough starter and mix them together. Okay, so back what I was saying, this sourdough loaf can be just sandwich bread. You can use it as cinnamon raisin swirl, which we love to do. You can use it as cheese swirl, both of those we have videos on. I don't know what else you would use it for, but basically you can use it for about anything. I did try cinnamon rolls one day, but I think you would need to roll it sooner and try to let it rise. It didn't rise very well. So, yeah, but you can try it, see what happens. Okay, now I'm gonna add my salt. I'm doing 2 loaves. So I'm gonna do, let's see how much I wanna do today. Maybe like 20 grams of salt. And a lot of people say, wait and add your salt after you let it sit for 30 minutes. I have done it both ways. I don't feel like it makes a difference. And sometimes I forget my salt. So it's just easier, it dissolves. And then basically this is just all runny liquid now. Okay. So super easy, quick. Now I'm going to add in 1,000 grams of Freshmilled flour. I'll probably add about half of it. Stir. Again, you might want to come in so you can see it. I don't know, I like to see what it looks like. So it just comes together really good. Another kind of great thing for high hydration breads. We also have a bunch of kids here playing, so there might be kids coming in or you may hear kids. But that is normal if you watch any of my videos. Okay, so that is basically it. We are going to stir it. I also use, well, I'll use that in a minute. I also use a rubber spatula some to unstick it from the sides. Okay, this will make it easier. So yeah, so we will let it sit for 30 minutes just so it can absorb the liquid and not be as difficult to stir. But I really like this Danish dough hook just to get everything really mixed in. I was really surprised it works really well. And then I go ahead and always remove the dough from it because it will stick on really hard. Wipe off the extra starter, and there we go. I'll scrape that down in a little bit, but basically scrape the sides down, mix it in, and you're done. That's it. So no hard kneading or anything crazy. If I want to form this kind of into a ball, I just kind of did it with the spatula there. Sometimes if I don't have a wet enough dough, like if I haven't mixed it well, I'll take it out, flip it over, because there might be some like bits of flour stuck to the bottom. Push it down really good. I mean, this is not, yeah, just stirring it in. So stir it. Now I'm gonna cover it and let it sit for 30 minutes. Do a couple folds, and that'll basically be it. It has been 30 minutes. Oh, take the lid off. And and I scraped down the sides just with this rubber thing. It was really easy after it kind of sat a minute. You can do it in the bowl or you can do it on the counter. I'm gonna do it, typically I do it in the bowl unless I don't really want to do it on the counter. But typically I do it in the bowl, but so that it's easier for you to see, I'm gonna do it here. I'm just gonna kind of knead it a little bit. This isn't your typical stretch and fold necessarily. But just trying to get it all worked in, stretch it around, and then roll it kind of like I'm just making a loaf. And that's it. I'm just gonna leave it and let it sit, I don't know, maybe an hour or two. And there it goes. It's that simple. Okay, so it has been 3 hours, almost 4 hours since we started. I guess the first time I folded it was between 30-45 minutes. And then it's been about 3 hours since I stretched it. I could have done another stretch in between, but like I said, we have people at our house, so I didn't. And if it's sticky, which this is a pretty wet dough, so it's probably not gonna stick to my hands, but you can put the water out. I'm gonna do a stretch. Okay, sorry. I was thinking I was gonna cut it in half, but. So, just stretch it over. Wrap it up. It's a lot softer. I don't know that you can tell. I'm not like a window pane tester. It's still breaking, but I don't know. I don't typically do that. And it still tastes good. So, this is your ordinary baking. Ordinary homemaking. Okay, so I'm gonna let it sit for a minute. I'll probably just put the bowl upside down, and then I'll come back, cut it in half, and put it in a bread pan. Now, sometimes I've done this all different ways. Sometimes I will leave this to rise on the counter till it puffs up a little bit, put it in the fridge overnight, bake it when I'm ready. Some days, depending on the time, I'll just go ahead and bake it that evening after it's sat out for, I don't know, 6 hours or so. Basically just when it looks risen. It's late tonight, so I think my plan tonight will be to roll it out and just put it in the fridge in bread pans. And then I'll show you tomorrow what I'm gonna do. It's been about 15 minutes. I already told you what I was doing, so I'm just gonna do it. Now this, I will kind of show you, hopefully you can kind of see. My friend named it the diaper fold. She just watched me do it. She's not a bread person. She just said it looks like a diaper. So it's hard to do to show you, but basically you just pull it out flat, which is what I was doing earlier, and then I remembered, no, I'm stretching, and then I'm gonna cut it and do all the things. So that's why it looked a little bit wonky. Normally you just roll it over, stretch up, fold it in. You don't have to make it flat, but it's late, I'm tired. So yeah, okay. So stretch this out and in. What am I doing? Okay, hang on. Like I said, tired. I just do this on autopilot. So I think I fold this down like a third of the way. Then I fold it in so it's like a diaper, like an old-timey diaper. And then I just roll it like this. And it can look kind of oblong and weird, but you're gonna tuck this end, you're gonna tuck this end, and then you can kind of slide it back and forth like this, just try to tuck it in, but you wanna keep it long here. When you tuck this in, it should, yeah, seam it up pretty nice. And that will, the seam will close up even more because it's gonna sit for a while in the fridge. You can, depending on how long you've let it rise out of the fridge, you can let it sit in your fridge for a couple of days and then bake it. You just have to watch it to make sure it doesn't get too big. But I love sourdough because it's so flexible. My kitchen is about 72 degrees. So if that helps you any time-wise. Okay, so I've got it laid out flat again. I'm gonna fold it down a third. Almost a half, I guess. Push those in the center. Hopefully you can see it. My videographer has went to bed, so I don't know. Then I'm gonna tuck it. Let me turn it this way. I'm going to just roll it in, push back, roll it in, push back until I'm back to where I was again. Then tuck both of the bottoms, both of the ends, squish it under there. You can use your surface to kind of help it like stick, and that helps it to get tension. That's what I'm looking for. So you'll get some tension, tuck it in, and then hopefully it will rise up really well. Something that I've been doing recently that has been a game changer that has super helped is I use my, I should have grabbed one, my kitchen cloth that's not, it's like a tea towel maybe, something like that. It's not fuzzy. I get warm water on it, cover both of these and put it in the fridge. By having a moist towel on top, it keeps it moist so that it doesn't have a skin develop. If a skin, normally if you put it in a band tin, you put that upside down and a skin will develop on the bottom, which isn't a big deal. You can just flip it out and then the skin's on the bottom. But here you do not want a skin to be on the top because you want it to finish rising in the oven. So put a warm rag on it and you'll be ready to cook it the next day. Okay, next day, this is still wet. Here are the loaves. Why don't you come in so you can see them? So they didn't rise much. I honestly did not expect them to rise a ton, just because of where we were in the process. But I think what I'm gonna do, I sometimes will just go ahead and bake them cold right out of the fridge. But I think today, to see if they'll rise more, I'm gonna put them on the oven while it preheats, and then I will bake them. Okay, so I don't know how long it's been, maybe an hour. My clock's not right, so don't check it. Here it is. It is a little bit bigger. It's definitely risen. Again, you could leave it longer if you wanted it to. Again, you can follow this, but you're probably like, what? Okay, so I'm gonna spray it, keep it wet. I can spray in the oven a couple times while it's still moist and rising. I may do that, I may not, and I'll show you the end product. But yeah, I will put this on for probably 20 minutes, and then my heat source is at the top, so I will move it to the bottom rack for the final 15 to 20 minutes so that it doesn't get too brown on the outside and it will cook fully. If your heat source is at the bottom, you might not have to worry about it, or if your bottom starts to get too brown, then you can move it to the top. So basically, cook it 15 to 20 minutes at 450, then we're gonna lower to 400 and you're gonna finish cooking. Okay, so we did it. Start to finish, you have a great loaf of bread. Every week is different. I should have probably filmed last week's because that bread, I think that's why I wanted to do this one. Last week's was like, I do like the crumb on this one, but the crumb was a little bit airier. It was just like a big loaf. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is perfect. But this week I didn't want to wait as long and I was doing it in the evening. So if you let your bread ferment longer and you roll it up and put it, you know, let it sit and puff up, put it in the fridge, then you can get a bigger loaf. But for me, this is a great size loaf for the kids, for sandwiches. You can do French toast, you can do about anything with it. We love it, it's our favorite. And it's fresh milled, so it's good for you. If you have not seen videos on fresh milled, you should go check out some of Sue Becker's videos all about fresh milled, and it's delicious for you. So anyways, hope you will give it a try and that you will enjoy your loaf of bread.